Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. We're going to give it just a moment before we get started. All right, welcome everybody. Give it just one more moment and then we'll go ahead and kick off. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again for our weekly Wednesday webinar series. Today's webinar is on empowering the community through knowledge and resources. My name is Alsa Murtha, and I am the moderator of this series. At any point during the webinar, if you would like to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're joining us from one of our live streaming platforms, you can go ahead and ask your questions in the comments. We have staff members monitoring these questions, which we will post to our speakers after the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to the community beginning on Friday, April 7th. I'm joined today by Brendan Hayes, NHF Senior Director of Education and Innovative Therapies, and Lena Vollen, Director of Education here at NHF. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I will turn it over to you to get us started.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and hello and welcome to everybody who is joining us on the various platforms. So Brendan and I are really excited to be talking to all of you today, and we thought we'll do a little bit of a different presentation today because we've heard a lot from the community that they were surprised about all the different resources and programs that we have available through the education department. So what we really wanted to do today is to share out a little bit more of what different publications we do have available to all of you, as well as what programs are available. The fun part is that these are available to everyone, no matter where you are housed in the world, no matter where you live. You can freely access any of these resources. They are available to you at no cost. So I'm excited to share more about everything that we have for you, as well as some of the highlights of our programs from last year. So let's get started. We really wanted to start out with the publications, and many of these publications have been around for a while, and then we have added many more, especially in the last couple of years. You can find all of the publications on our website in various forms. So you can actually look at them on the website, you can download them, but even more so, you can actually order them and we will ship them to you. So let me highlight a few that we actually do have available. Many of you might have heard about our Better You Know campaign. So Better You Know campaign is really targeting our undiagnosed population. And our goal here is to increase the awareness of signs and symptoms of inherited bleeding disorders. The goal is then to educate people about these and hopefully aid in the process of receiving a diagnosis much, much sooner. And with that, also then shortening the pathway to diagnosis. There are a lot of really great resources available under the Better You Know umbrella. So it is really giving you so much more information about the different signs and symptoms of bleeding disorders. It has specific information for our younger population, as well as how to communicate with your provider and your OBGYN. But then there are also some really great tools that can help you along the way. So we have a menstruation chart that is also really great for people who do menstruate, even if they have been diagnosed with a bleeding disorder. So you can really track your menstruation. There's also a great worksheet available for lab testing, so you can log all of your results, as well as a healthcare diary, and so much more. So many of these are available on the Better You Know website, but also on our hemophilia.org website. And they're great tools. Please take a look. Some of the other materials that are available include our von Willebrand materials. So we have a multitude of really great information about what you need to know if you have been diagnosed with von Willebrand's disease, as well as something that is really helpful for children as well, which is our activity book. All of these can be found on our website as well. And then, in case you missed it, our VWD guidelines were published quite a few years ago now, but what we have really done is to simplify a little bit the recommendation and summarize these. So we have two summary sheets. One is focused on the management of von Willebrand disease, and the other one is focused on the diagnoses. So what is actually happening in these summary sheets is that we have honed in on the specific recommendations. We simplified a little bit the language that is there, so you can have it in one sheet available to you. You have the QR codes on these slides, so please use them if you want to see more. But even more so, these are great tools that you can have at your hand when you want to discuss your results, findings, or any issues with your management for VWD, with your healthcare providers, or if you want to discuss these with your insurance company as well. These are really great tools to have in your hand and summarize our guidelines specifically for you, so they are there too. Now, you might remember that we used to have a VWD Toolkit, which included some of our VWD tools that I've just mentioned, but we actually revamped these, and the new VWD toolkits are now available on our website. So what we have done is not only include those tools that are specifically talking about VWD, as you've seen before, our brochure, our activity book, and our summary sheets of the VWD guidelines, but we also started to pull in some of the other tools that have been developed for other areas, but that would be really helpful for people who do have VWD. So there's a brand new VWD toolkit, which is available to all of you as well. Again, on the website, but we're more than happy to also send you printouts if you would like to have them. Now, one thing that I have been personally extremely excited about is that we have really started the big endeavor for creating more information about ultra-rare bleeding disorders. So this is an ongoing process. We can't do it all at once, but every year we're increasing our library of fact booklets for ultra-rare bleeding disorders. We started out initially with 4. Last year we added 2. This year we'll be adding another one. So it's an ever-expanding library that will be available to you. Now, the exciting part about these fact booklets is they don't just include a little bit of an overview of the specific disorder, but they also talk about how it is inherited, what the current best treatment approaches are, and then really add some consideration for family planning as well. And then we are ending those booklets with some really nice and wonderful quotes and statements from community members who actually live with that specific bleeding disorders. They're wonderful booklets to have, and they are a wealth of information. Now, the exciting part is that these are not only available in English, but they have been fully translated in Spanish as well. So you can order these, you can download these. These are available to you, and they are great library to have. It is ever expanding, so stay tuned for the new booklets to be added this year and the following years until we have them all covered. So we are very, very excited about this resource specific to our ultra-rare bleeding disorder community. Now, another part that has been a true labor of love for the education team, and a big shout out here really needs to go to Nicole Scappi, who has been spearheading not only the fact booklets, but also the development and dissemination of our Super7 book. So this is a particular cute book for children, but also for adults, because I really loved reading this as well. But it is our Super7 story. Now, Super7 is about a young boy by the name Tanner who has a bleeding disorder, and it is not specified in this book which specific bleeding disorder it is. Even though it's called Super7, it is not about factor 7 deficiency. We are not really truly outlining this. But Tanner is part of a basketball team, and as a young person, he's going through the ups and downs of playing basketball, and handling a lot of the social components as well. So it's a really exciting story. And the fun part is that it actually comes along with a parent discussion guide. So you can actually sit down with your child and have a detailed discussion about all the experiences that Tanner is going through in this cute little story. And the most exciting part, it is also available in Spanish now. So again, you can access this book on our website. We are more than happy to send you printed copies as well. And then really exciting too, there's actually on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook, we had a wonderful story time where we have people from our community actually read the chapters from Super7. And exciting even more, we have added this year 2 workshops surrounding Super7 as well. And again, it is not just a book for people with ultra rare deficiencies. It is really a great, exciting book for everyone to read. I enjoyed it reading myself, and my children loved it too. So get your hands on this one. This is a really great resource. We're still continuing to talk about inhibitors, and there is some wonderful inhibitor information available too. And very soon we will have our updated books and brochures available as well. So we have some specific information about facts about inhibitor, and then what it is really like living with an inhibitor and how you can manage this very rather complicated issue. Now, these will be available in English and in Spanish as well. You can, again, receive them on the website too. So they have wealth of information. Now, we do know that mental health has been a big issue, not just in our inherited bleeding disorders community, but really in the community as a whole. Now, COVID-19 has really allowed us to talk more openly about mental health. And it was important to us to really provide our community with absolutely important and essential resources. So we have 2 different resources currently available for you. One is our mental health crisis hotline. So this is a component where you can either download it, have it available on your mobile device, or print it and put it on your refrigerator. So these are crisis hotlines. So when somebody is really in a situation where they do need immediate help, there's some great resources and connections they can utilize to help them in a crisis situation. But then there are also many other wonderful resources available in the community from organizations who have truly focused on mental health. So we have created a document, and we are ever expanding as new resources become available. But this wonderful resource really outlines different organizations, resources that are specific to those who actually do experience blood or have a blood or bleeding disorder, but then also general resources for mental health. It connects you directly to those websites or webinars or podcasts or information that is available that will be helpful to you. So that resource also is available on our website, and there's really a big applause needed here for Natalia Winberry, Jasmine Pallerai, who have really spearheaded the development of this great resource. Right now, this is only available in English. It will become available in Spanish this year. So this is a little bit of a preview of what is to come. But the reason why it is not available in Spanish right now, it is not as simple as just translating a resource and putting it out there. But when we are connecting our community to other resources that have been developed by other organizations, we also need to be sure that these resources on their end can be provided in Spanish as well. It doesn't really help us if we are connecting our Spanish-speaking community to a resource that's only available in English. But stay tuned. This resource will become available in Spanish this year, and we're very excited for this and looking forward to it. Many of you are familiar with Playing It Safe. Playing It Safe has been developed several years ago, and it has been updated in recent years. It is available also both in English and Spanish. And there's not only the booklets that is available to you, but there's also a poster that you can easily hang up and have as a resource. It is a wonderful resource to really look into physical activities and which physical activities might be best for you based on the information that you receive from these. And then there's Let's Talk Puberty. So I'm not sure how many people have actually seen this really great book. It became available right at the start of the pandemic, so you might not have seen it that much. But here in this one, we're really talking about what it's like to go through puberty, especially when you have a bleeding disorder. So this is a wonderful brochure that comes along with great information and stories. And it also has a parent discussion guide. So the Time to Talk Puberty book is really meant for our younger generation or our younger people who are going through puberty. And then it comes along with a wonderful discussion guide for the parents and caregivers so that you can actually sit down with your preteen and teen and have a discussion about what it's like to go through puberty, what will happen to your body, and what you need to look out for when you actually do have a bleeding disorder. It comes along with some great tips and tools of how to manage these rather difficult years in somebody's life, and it's a wonderful resource that is available to many. So these are concluding a little bit my end of the publications, and I will be handing it over to Brandon right now to talk a little bit more on what wonderful resources she has available on the innovative therapies end.
Thanks, Lena. Yeah, let's transition into talking a little bit about our Future Therapies content. So we do have a Future Therapies website, and it's really the entry point for all of the gene and innovative therapies content that we have at NHF. And one nice thing on the on that homepage is that we've got a brief overview of all of the different types of innovative therapies, those different mechanisms of action that sort of gives you that high level bit of information so that you have a little bit of an understanding about them. And then we actually point our audience to appropriate and accessible language around gene and innovative therapies. So, you know, anti-TIFP, you may have heard, RNAi, and gene therapy. We try to break these concepts down into understandable language. There's a lot that is going on with innovative therapies, we all know. And now more than ever, it's really important to stay on top of all of this innovation as you start to think about, you know, your treatment options. We also have a resource guide. We've got a clinical trials finder and lots of webinars and videos on innovative therapies that you can use and digest when you have time. And then finally, there is a news and update link that we will talk more about in just a moment. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was our gene therapy FAQs and glossary. And we actually have the FAQs and the glossary served up in different formats on our website. So we have a hyperlink, we have a printable, we've got videos. And so really, if you just, you're just trying to sort of get an overview, this is a great place to start. And again, frequently asked questions. Yes, we've all got lots of questions about gene and innovative therapies, and this is a great place to go. We also have a resource in English and Spanish. It's called Gene Therapy Questions for Your Provider. And I think what I really like about this resource is it's a card, and you can flip it over and take notes on the back. But I think when we go to our providers and we have questions, when we get there, we're like, okay, what was that I was going to ask? I've already forgotten that question, right? So that, or you feel like you don't even know enough about it to ask a question. So we've done some of the work for you and helped to unpack some of the mystery so that you can have really great conversations with your provider. And again, we have this resource in English and in Spanish. This is another way that we have served up our frequently asked questions. So we've created these 3 to 5 minute videos that delve a little bit into those frequently asked questions focused on eligibility. So what are some of those questions around eligibility? What are the limitations, risks, and unknowns about gene therapy? And then finally, just basic questions that would give you a little bit of a deeper understanding about gene therapy. These are quick videos that you can watch when you're standing in line at the grocery store, when you're filling your car up with gas. Again, these are quick videos to just give you some basic information. Now, we do have a video. We've got a really cute character named Jean, and she is going to walk you through all things gene therapy. So hopefully by the end of that 3-minute video, you have a basic understanding of gene therapy. It's a very lighthearted, easy to understand, accessible video. Oh, it doesn't look like our sound is on. Well, again, this is it's a very basic video, and as you can see, it's animated, and Jean will walk you through all of the different steps. And again, the QR code is at the top. This is also a video that your whole family can learn from. So this is also really great for kids because again, it's animated, and Jean does a really nice job of sort of unpacking some of those complex concepts. So Lena, do you want to stop the video and go to the next slide if you can? Thank you. So one other thing that I wanted to highlight is webinars on gene and innovative therapy. So we've got a ton of webinars. So these are usually like 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. And the thing that I like about this is you can sort of, it's like watching a YouTube video, right? You can stop and start, and you can go back and listen to a concept again. So again, this is another great way to learn on your own. And a lot of these were recorded, either they were done as webinars or they were done as BDC sessions during the pandemic. So there's a variety of presenters as well. And again, you can get to those through this QR code. Okay, next slide. So we've got a social media campaign called Future Therapies Friday. And again, this is another way to serve up information in small bite-sized pieces. And so what we do is we unpack a concept, we introduce it, and we look at various ways to, whether it be an Instagram story, something on Twitter, Facebook, etc. So this will help you start to learn a little bit more about gene therapy. So highly encourage you to follow NHF on all of our platforms so that you can have access to this type of information and much more. One other thing our team is working on is a resource called MASAC for You. I think many of us in the bleeding disorders community have heard about the MASAC guidelines. Some of us may have attempted to read through them. Some of us may not know what they are, but they're really designed for providers, and they're really focused on providing a lot of detailed medical information. The information is quite good though, and we thought, let's try to find a way to actually create a consumer-friendly document that pulls out the key information that would be important to a consumer audience. The first one that we have done is on emergency department management, and it's both in English and Spanish. And we're working on 2 women, girls, and people with the potential to menstruate recommendations on health and reproductive health. And so those are coming soon. Okay, we talked a little bit about news earlier, but I just wanted to highlight that, it's ever changing. There's so much going on. There's so many different types of therapies. It's really hard to stay up on everything. And I encourage you to bookmark this site and visit it on a regular basis, just so you can make sure that you're up on the latest and greatest information. So breaking news about new treatments, any product recalls. Again, this is a really great site. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about a project that we had regarding health equity through our HTCs. So we had two focus groups. We had one at Tulane and one at Rush, and we really wanted to focus on hearing from both patients and their providers on what's working, what's not. And these groups of people really did a great job helping to inform the development of resources based on their input. And these resources are developed for both consumers and HTCs. And so if you go to the next slide, Lena, we can talk a little bit more about those. So the first one that I wanted to highlight here was the Healthcare Provider Toolkit. And so, really we're looking at social determinants of health and giving and receiving feedback and walking the community through shared decision making. So these are resources specifically for our providers. We also created resources on health equity for our patients and families. And these are things like, what happens when you go to the emergency room? What do you need to know? What do you need to be prepared for? And, patient assistance, creating an emergency care plan, and helping you find your community. So again, these are resources that we're really proud of that we actually built by, listening to the community and providers. Okay, we've covered a lot on these publications. And so here is the direct link to actually ordering all of this content if you're interested in having it for yourself. So you can scan the QR code, or we've listed the resource here, or you can actually email us at the handy@hemophilia.org website.
I have to say, Brennan, those are a lot of resources. I mean, I knew we had a mountain of them, but now that I'm looking at it, it is a lot. And this was just a highlight because you can actually find more resources if you're following that link over there. So we have really developed a lot over the years, and we're glad we get to share this with all of you. This is really something that was developed for our community, for the HTCs to use, for the chapters to use, for our consumers to have. So, but if there is a resource that you wish you had that is currently not part of the resources that we have made available to all of you, please let us know. Reach out to Brendan or I if you're looking for something specific and you can't find it, or you're looking for something and hope that we will develop it. Then you can reach out to us as well, because maybe there is an opportunity that we can develop it or tackle that together. So please let us know if you're looking for something in particular. So we highlighted a lot of the publications that we have available, but then there's also a multitude of wonderful programs that we have created over the years. And we wanted to take the rest of our time here together to just highlight a few of the programs. Some of them are new, some of them you might have heard about, but we really wanted to share some information about the wonderful programs that we are running through the education department. So the first one I wanted to highlight is our Journey to Know. So you've heard about Better You Know. I've mentioned before, it's really our big outreach campaign. And then in the past, we really started out Better You Know with giving the people the opportunity to take a assessment and find out whether or not they are actually at risk for having a bleeding disorder. But then after that, they were really on their own to receive that diagnosis. So we have created, in cooperation with the CDC, the Journey to Know. So Journey to Know is really focusing on helping people once they have been pointed out that, or it has been pointed out to them that they might be at risk for a bleeding disorder. We really want to help them along the way to receiving that diagnosis. So how we're doing this is by with three different arms. So the first one is that people can stay in the know, so they can sign up via email or text service and receive continued information about bleeding disorders. The second part are our Better You Know videos, or our Watch and Know. So these are several videos that have been created to really help people along the way. It explains a little bit more the resources that are available. It also talks about HTCs, how to make an appointment, how to communicate with your providers, and what you should look out for when you're communicating with different types of specialties, such as your OBGYN. It really carries you along the way and provides wonderful information. And then there's our Better Together Hour. So this is a bi-monthly live support group, like a little support group meeting where people who have not received a diagnosis can really talk to people who have actually been around in the community for a while and who have walked in the same shoes at some point in time. So this is a regular meetup. And it is really there, or was created, to help shorten the time frame to receiving a diagnosis and sending people on the right path and getting access to care. So then you've heard this before from Brandon a little bit. We do have an online education library. So Brandon highlighted some of the Future Therapies videos that I included in this online education platform. But we have more than that in there. So as of right now, we have 144 videos that are available on demand, completely free of charge. So these were great webinars that we have really collected over the last couple of years at various of our conferences, through our Wednesday webinars, at many of our summits, and in between. So there is many different topics, from basics of different bleeding disorders, including our ultra rares, VWD, hemophilia, and so forth, all the way to the future therapies that Brandon mentioned, and many steps in between. You can easily access this at any point in time, no matter where you are in the world, and watch these videos. Many range in time, as Brandon said earlier, 45 minutes to an hour, but you can start and stop them however you please. So go and check it out, because there's a lot of valuable information in there. And even more so, it is ever growing. Whenever we have new wonderful webinars that we feel would be great for our consumers to have, we are continuously adding to this. So there will be something new. And then there are Steps for Living. So many of you might have heard about Steps for Living, might have used it in the past. It is a wonderful program. So Steps for Living is a website and used to be an educational program too, but it really talks from the beginning stages when you have a young person, starts at birth, all the way through adulthood. And it covers many different aspects of living with a bleeding disorder. It talks about the basics of really understanding a bleeding disorder. It talks about genetics. It talks about identification of bleeds. It moves into treatment. It talks really about managing life, starting from daycare and preschool, all the way through school and college and into the work lives, into aging and what things to look out for. It also provides information about finances. It talks about health insurance and so much more. It is a wealth of knowledge that is integrated into this website. And in case you haven't heard, we are actually right now working on revamping this entire website. So next year, you will see a complete new face for Steps for Living. It will be much easier to navigate, and a lot of the content will receive a little bit of a facelift as well. So stay tuned to hear more about Steps for Living. We are extremely excited for the revamp of this wonderful website. It is a wonderful resource for our community to have. So
I've got to jump in and say,
yeah.
as a community member, this is a resource that I have utilized and absolutely love. And I too am so excited about the revamp of this tool. And I think something else that I really like about it is how it is broken down by those ages and stages. And I think it's really cool that kids can learn too. It's an online resource that kids can learn too. So I really love this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for mentioning this. So yes, Steps for Living goes through 4 different life stages. It's birth through 8, 9 through 15, 16 through 25, and then 26 and above. But what is really exciting about that bracket next step our 9 to 15-year-olds, it's written from 2 different lenses. So you can actually toggle on the website because there's 2 different audiences that might be looking at this website. There might be a parent or caregiver, or there might be actually a young person who's looking at this too. So it's written from those 2 lenses. But in case you didn't know, it is also available in Spanish. So the entire website, including the kids pages in the new one especially, are available in Spanish. So this website is utilized across the globe by many people. So we're really excited. I honestly, I can't wait for all of you to see the new Steps for Living website. I am so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, great job. I'm excited about the content for the community. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, yep. Stay tuned. More to come. And then there's another website that we are actually very proud of, which is our Victory for Women. So this came out many years or several years ago of a needs assessment and really wanting to create a space for women, girls, and people with the potential to menstruate, to not only have specific resources and information, but also to connect and share stories and talk about the challenges that we are experiencing and sharing their own talents and experiences. So Victory for Women is much more than a website. It's really a community where people can connect and talk and find support. So it has a multitude of wonderful resources that we are connecting people to, but we're also posting every month great stories, great information, and it's all surrounding women, girls, and people with the potential to menstruate and what is really burning in that community. And it's ever growing. So we hope that more people out there will join us and will join this amazing community to find connection, find support, find resources, and really network with each other as well. It's a great opportunity to meet others who are in similar situations. So we love our Victory for Women community. And then another program that I think we are all very, very proud of are our travel grants. So the travel grants are really designed to bring families to our Bleeding Disorders Conference and really mitigating some of the socioeconomic challenges that people might be experiencing. So we have several travel grants available. So there's our Connections for Learning, our very general travel grant. We have our Anna Di Simone, excuse me, which is focusing on women and girls and people with the potential to menstruate. We have our ultra rare bleeding disorders and inhibitor specific travel grant. So it's for people and families who either have an ultra rare bleeding disorders or are living with an active or tolerated inhibitor. And then we have our Spanish travel grants available as well. So these are really meant for people and family who are primarily Spanish speaking. So these are great travel grants, and we really try to be equitable. So there is actually a entire process related to this, and there is a committee who is really choosing then the travel grant recipients. And we're so very proud of the many applications that we have received. For this year, the travel grants have been closed, but if you didn't have a chance to apply for this or share with your community, stay tuned for next year because the travel grants normally open at the beginning of the year, so stay tuned for this. And just to highlight a few from last year, you can see that wonderful picture of our travel grant families on the bottom. But just to share some numbers here, we had some wonderful families, a total of 159 participants who were able to utilize the travel grants to travel to BDC and really benefit from the learnings there. And this year, we actually grew. We had close to 300 applications. I think it was over 200, close to 300 applications this year. So we're really excited for bringing many more people to BDC, and stay tuned for next year for the travel grants to open again. This is a great
that travel grant program is truly life-changing for the people who get it. You know, having access to all that content, all that information at BDC, it's just once a year and not everyone can go, but we have really had some great stories come out of the travel grant recipients and what it meant to them.
Yeah, I have talked to a person last year who was a travel grant recipient, and she has not been able to attend BDC in over 15 years. And due to the travel grant, she was able to come back. So these are the heartwarming stories that I love. And I love that we have the opportunity to bring many more people to BDC and benefit from the learnings there. However, we also do a lot of really great learnings or workshops, essentially, on a more local and regional concept. So this is our Education for Empowerment program. So Education for Empowerment, in case you didn't know, that is really a program that is delivering impactful and engaging workshops at the chapter level. So this is where we're working closely with our chapters and provide workshops. And the list of workshops is changing every year, and it's really based on the feedback that we are getting from the community of what type of education is needed. So, and there are many, many different workshops. I mean, this year, I'm so excited about everything that we have. We're talking about advocacy in the ER. We're talking about future therapies and innovative therapies. We're talking about clinical trials and consent. We're talking about ultra-rare bleeding disorders, taking care of the caregiver. We have specific workshops for women and girls and people with the potential to menstruate. There's great workshops in there for teens and younger people. So it's a big array. So make sure you check out the website for Education for Empowerment. There's a QR code there. There's some really, really wonderful workshops. And just to highlight a few outcomes from last year. So last year was really our very first year that we were back in person since the COVID pandemic started. And this was just so exciting for me to be back in person. But last year we were able to facilitate 68 total workshops, and there were so many people present there. So we had 1,334 attendees across all of these different workshops, and they were all benefiting greatly from the information that we were able to provide. So 93% really had an increased understanding of the topic. 88% of the attendees learned a completely new skill or idea, and 91% of the attendees feel prepared to implement their new skill or idea that they have learned, which is some wonderful outcomes. So really make sure that you're taking part of Education for Empowerment. If it fits within the chapter program or so, it's really there to help and support. So with this, Brandon, I'm going to hand it back over to you to talk about some of the programs on your end.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight a couple of our future therapies, Education for Empowerment workshops. So we've got, gene therapy, the basics, innovative therapies for hemophilia, the basics, and clinical trials. And I'm really excited about these for the community because, again, these are presented in accessible language, and we have some fantastic nurse educators that do these sessions for us. And I think what's really different is we're able to dig in a little bit on some of the benefits and the risks associated with some of these therapies so that, again, people have the decisions, the decision points that they need to choose their treatment options. And so these are really good. And, it's really fun to see these sessions being done in person, and they're pretty interactive too. All of our Education for Empowerment workshops are very interactive and really get people building community around these topics. So really good stuff.
Yeah, these are great workshops.
Okay, so we're excited about 2023. We're coming out of the pandemic, we're out and about, and we're creating new content. And the reason why we're creating new content is because we have all these amazing innovative therapies that are being approved. So there's lots going on in the clinical trial space. And, one of the sessions that we have done at BDC for the last 4 or 5 years is called Candid Conversations. And this is where we have a variety of patients or consumers and healthcare providers. And they're unpacking some of these difficult topics. And they're sort of giving us a bird's eye view of what do you really think? And what do you really want to know? And what do you really want to ask, right? And so they've been wildly popular. And I'm very excited that we're going to be able to do these candid conversations on the road in 2023. So if this is something any of our chapters are interested in, please reach out to me. We'll be able to do 3 or 4 of these this year. Another really fun project that we're working on is, oh, I'm sorry, if you could go back, sorry, is the 3D clotting cascade video. So my team, Heather Hicks and Ryan Sarshuri, have taken a deep dive into the clotting cascade. You know, a question, why do we care about the clotting cascade? We all know it's, you know, we've all been taught the domino effect, right? You know, you're missing one factor and the dominoes stop falling down when you get to that factor. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. And with all of these new therapies, it's more critical than ever that we all understand how the clotting cascade works, because these different therapies are working on different spots on the clotting cascade. And so we have created a really cool 3-minute 3D video. It will be hot off the presses any day now. And so I'm really excited for the community to have access to that. In addition, we are going to create some 3D videos that unpack the specific treatment options for bleeding disorders too. And those will be things that we'll be working on for the next few years, actually. We are also working closely with WFH and EHC on shared decision-making tools. And so I think these are going to be critical for our community as we move forward and help navigate the decision-making process around all these new therapies. So these tools are designed to help people not only understand the treatment options, but to start to think about what's important to them in regards to their quality of life and, you know, how they want to live with their bleeding disorder. So again, really excited about these tools. And again, there's lots more coming on the horizon for the education team. Lena had talked about one of our CDC projects for women, girls, and people with the potential to menstruate. Well, we have another one called Own Your Path. And it is a treatment adherence program, but don't let that word adherence scare you off. This is a really cool program for young adult males with hemophilia and, you know, that are on prophy. And I think staying adherent to your care plan is a challenge, especially if you're a young adult who's just leaving home. You might be starting a job and moving out on your own, going away to school, and you've got a lot of things that are competing for your time and interests. And we know that. And so we've created this program that has different components to help you be successful. So there's educational components. This is an app-based program, so it's kind of go at your own pace. We do have health coaches that are involved in this, and they're really going to help the individuals in the program focus on healthy habits and building the skills that they need. We're really looking at the individual from a more holistic level. So it isn't just, you know, I have to be adherent, but it's what do I need to know to be adherent? What are the skills I can develop to help me be adherent to my treatment plan? So, you know, this particular platform has lots of great tools. So we've got things like meditation, we've got exercise, we have meal prep and cooking. We've got a lot of great components to this to help you sort of tackle and get your focus where it should be. And we also have monthly meetups where the group comes together and they tackle different topics and they get to build community. And, you know, one other thing I'll mention is there are incentives that are built into this. And so it's a really cool program and would highly recommend that anyone who's interested, please reach out to Heather Hicks, and her email address is hhicks@hemophilia.org. Another program that the education team has that we oversee is the NYLI, National Youth Leadership Institute. This program has been in existence for a number of years, and the graduates that come out of the program have gone on to do tremendous things in the community. So we've got providers, so we have doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physical therapists. We have people who are working on Capitol Hill. We have people who are working at chapters. We're very blessed to have some of them working at NHF, and they're doing great things in the community. This is our current cohort of individuals, and they are just a delight. And we're really excited because we are getting ready to bring another cohort on in July. So we've come to the end, and Lena, do you have anything to follow up on?
No, but well, kind of. I just wanted to say this was a lot of information. There are a lot of programs that we do have available. There's a lot of publications, and we were not even able in this hour that we have with everyone to highlight each and every one of the programs that we have and share all the in-depth details with you. So if you have any questions, if you want to know more about a specific program, or if you're looking for something and you just can't find it, or you wish we had it, then please just reach out to us. You can reach out to Brandon or myself or pretty much anybody else on the education team, because obviously these are a lot of wonderful things, and Brandon and I cannot do it all by ourselves. There's an absolutely amazing and delightful team that is working with the two of us and Kate as well on all of these programs and publications. And you can always reach out to us. So we are more than happy to help, brainstorm, generate ideas. We love hearing from our community, and just make sure you reach out, especially if you have any specific questions.
That was great. Thank you. Before I begin, I have just a couple questions, and I know we're running a little low on time, but I wanted to remind everyone that nominations for Awards of Excellence are open through May 5th. April is already here, so we're coming in hot. You can head to hemophilia.org/BDC. You'll want to go to the program tab and click on Awards of Excellence. From that page, you can click on the button to the nomination form. As a reminder, self-nominations are not allowed at this time, but maybe someone you know can be nominated or can nominate you. So we'll see. Okay, so let's see. My first question is, do you plan on offering translations of these publications in other languages aside from Spanish? I know you touched briefly on why not everything is in Spanish yet, but do you plan to expand beyond Spanish?
We absolutely do. We've got a couple of languages in mind, but we would love to hear from the community if there's a specific language. We'd definitely like to have more conversation around that, but we definitely recognize the need, and it's something that we have planned.
Great. Okay, so when making these publications, is there ever anything that you've been surprised to learn?
Always. There's always something new that we learn. Some of it is the process, so that goes into making these publications. So it is not just us sitting there and writing something up. So most of them, we have an advisory group. We have people from the community joining us and reviewing all the content. I think there's always something new to learn of like how to go about creating these and all the elements that go into creating a publication, because it takes a lot longer than people might think, and all the thought processes that go into creating something that is of benefit to the community. And do we learn something new? I think we always learn something new, because knowledge is always growing and changing, and new findings are made in research. So it's always exciting to find those, or to read those and include them.
Yeah, I think for me, I would just say that, with all the innovative therapy stuff that we work on, I mean, again, the amount of effort that goes into creating these resources, like Lena said, all of the different people that we invite in to collaborate with us on these resources is truly amazing. And I think it's always great to hear from the community. And what I'm surprised by most is being a community member. I feel like I have a good understanding of kind of what's going on, but I'm always surprised because the community looks at things from different lenses. So, yeah.
I love those lenses, though. I love hearing all
Absolutely.
the experiences.
Wonderful. And then can you remind us once more where we can find these publications?
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do so. So you can find all of these publications if you go onto our website, hemophilia.org. And if you then hover all the way over to the right side on the first tab of community resources, there will be a tab called Read Our Publications. And there is a list of all the publications that are currently available to everyone. And if you can't find them, again, shoot us an email or call us. We'll be happy to help. And then you can also request them. Sorry, one more thing.
No, go ahead.
If you want specific ones, the other part is you can request them through Handy, as you heard earlier. So contact Handy. They will also be able to point you the right direction or send you whatever is needed.
Yeah, and I'll just add that one of the things that Lena and I tried to do was incorporate those QR codes throughout this presentation. And I know that we're recording this and we will have it on the website, so you can go back and look at it and scan those codes. That's another quick way to do it as well.
Great. What about publications for patients with intellectual or development disabilities? We have a significant number of patients with ASD.
That is a really great question, and I think it's something that we definitely need to explore.
Agreed.
All right. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you, Brendan and Lena, once more for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We appreciate your time and your expertise. And I'd like to thank each one of our viewers for joining us. Please note that this recorded webinar will be available on Friday, April 7th at hemophilia.org under the Events tab with all of our archived webinars. Also available in the Events tab is our upcoming schedule for our weekly Wednesday webinar series. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you right back here next week as we continue on with this series. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.